Hi you guys, today we're gonna draw the purse. It's on this regular homework image with the elephant and the camera. So I wanna divide my page like normal using vertical and horizontal lines with the halfway points. I have a different ruler today. So the halfway point horizontally is gonna be 5.5. Measure twice. It's a little off. Okay, and then 4.25 for the vertical direction. All right, so the purse, it looks really complicated, but once we start with the basic shapes, it will be relatively simple. But it's really important that after you guys complete your sketch, you are not just doing a really rushed job for your value. You want to take your time and have really nice, delicate stippling for this one. Now to space this across the page, I place the vertical and horizontal roughly centered. On top of the purse that's kind of like a messenger bag shape, I place the horizontal line right above there. And then for the vertical line where the strap is kind of hanging, I put that vertical line there. Lining it up, making sure I am even with the edges of the paper so that I have a nice vertical and horizontal perpendicular to each other, of course. So at the top, I want to start where my strap is gonna have this shape that kind of looks like a fortune cookie. These ones kind of look like a fortune cookie too. So that's a nice way to think about it, to describe and break down the shapes. So I'm thinking about where I want that to start, and it's a rounded edge, primarily going over here on the right, and then it kind of goes straight down from the left side. So the right side of the strap will go slightly out to the right as I'm gradually making the line, so it's helpful to make a little mark to aim for. Oops. Straighten it out, use an eraser. So for the left side, so that there's a thickness to it, I want to go back to the division of this thicker leather part, kind of create where that edge starts, and it's a little bit thinner, but it stays the same width. Now over here on the left, like I said, it pretty much goes at a slant from the top curve. I have a little bit too much up here, I need to erase. And where it divides, it's going along the vertical line. And this strap has a twist in it, so it's kind of like a big elongated X. So I want to mark where the left side is gonna meet with my vertical line, about this part. So since it's an X, it kind of goes pretty much straight down, but there's a little bit of a thinner, it's thinner than that thick leather part. So over here for the left side, I want it to gradually cross, and then I want to kind of keep it an even thickness. So now that we have above going pretty nicely, we want to connect to the body of the bag. And now I know I need to kind of extend these straps just slightly underneath the horizontal line we created. And now thinking about the space that this bag takes up, I want to kind of think about the outline shape before we get into all the little details. So over here on the right, it's a gradual line and then it starts to curve, but I'm also kind of viewing underneath of the bag where it would rest on the floor, and I can't see that over here, so you can kind of tell the difference in that way. So starting right here, I'm going to ignore the little buckle and we'll add that later. I want this to curve out and then kind of swoop under. I know I need some room in here for the flap, so maybe make it a little extra rounded there. And then over on the left, I can't really see where it's meeting because the flap is going over it. But if I'm kind of imagining what this would look like on the left, I would start here and let this kind of curve in like that. Pretty good. This drawing, I'm not making it super huge, but I know I want to make some really nice stippling textures to show my skills. So here in the middle, we need to make that negative space happening in between. So this is kind of what the edge of the bag might roughly look like. And then it would meet here, ignoring these little fortune cookie leather shapes. So now we just need to add the flap that goes over. So it begins right here, and remember I can see the side, and I need to leave space here for all of that information. And then make sure this goes off the edge. And then we need to go back and kind of erase. And I can see this meeting and overlapping on the strap there. So now I want to go back and erase what the edge of the bag was that was normally there. So now we need some details. Let's add the creases that are happening here on the front of the flap. It's a rounded kind of upside down U shape. And this has this triangle shape pointing to the left. And I really want to mark this stuff because I'm leaving these areas for highlighted areas. With my ink, I need to mark all these things so I remember where I need a darkness and where I need the light. Underneath, there's this little part that kind of sticks out, and there's some shadows happening, but there's also these little straps hanging down. I need to unfold this a little bit. You can see there's maybe a little metal part at the bottom. So from underneath your flap on the right, this has a twist, so I'm following this edge that's not really curving too much. And now I'm starting the left side, let it cross over, kind of bow out, and then we can make that little square shape that is an addition. I want to go in, erase anything I don't really need. You don't want it to be a transparent strap. So over here on the left side, I know this is a curved line. I'm following the light edge that is curving over to the left and straight down. And I know that it's a twist right there, so perhaps where it's really dark you can't see that twist happening. And then here is the right side. Now go in and erase. You don't want it to be transparent. And now we need the buckles and the little fortune cookie strap pieces, whatever they are. So this is a square shape, right? Kind of underneath or on top of your horizontal line. And the material is going through like a belt, and then there's probably a little prong there. So I just like to mark that part so I know I need highlights here, and then there's some stuff happening, and I like to just make a little prong even though you aren't really sure if that's what it really looks like. And then erase out areas that I want it to be light. Okay, on the left, that's overlapping, so I'm just gonna repeat the same thing, kind of just a square shape with a square, just in case the fortune cookie shape doesn't really overlap enough. So these are just like the top part where we made a rounded edge, and then the insides are kind of following along that. This one is in this negative space, kind of sticking out. Something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Over here, I'm making sure I overlap. There's some highlights, and I'm not too worried as long as I know what's on top of what. Okay, and I think that's pretty much everything for the sketch. So now it's time for you guys to maybe take a break, take a pause, because you want to make sure you're putting your best effort into the shading part as well. A lot of students are spending so much time on the sketch and then not really having the motivation to do all of these textures. So that's why I think you guys should break it up. Definitely take a break and maybe work on these drawings a couple times a week. Like I've been showing you before, I'm using an 05 micron pen, but if I didn't have that at home and I wanted to use something else like colored pencil, that would be okay as well. But if you're going to take that route, it's really important that you do a type of texture that we've practiced, like control scribble. You could do stippling with a pencil. It takes a long time, but it's possible. So I really encourage you guys to try things that maybe you haven't during this time at home. If you're bored of stippling, you could do cross-hatching. You could do anything like the little ovals we've practiced in our texture squares. So first I like to go around and kind of outline things with my stippling so that I can erase the pencil lines. I like to get rid of them, and then I can remember where I need those little highlights. And my stippling is going straight up and down, nice and precise. If I ever make a tadpole accidentally, I really try to go back and fix it. So over in these areas where you have stippling fading onto an area that is kind of more in the light, I want it to fade from dark to light in here. I want to make sure that this value that's happening in the background, everything is fading to the white of the paper. In this example that you guys are looking at as a reference, it might be useful to take a picture of it with your phone, and then you can like enlarge and zoom in on different areas. I really want you guys to spend your best, time on this so that you have the advantage of getting everything done and it's your best work. So as I'm outlining everything, now I'm gonna start to fade out. I wanna make sure that I'm building up a lot of dots next to each other, but keeping it neat. And then it's really important that the ones that fade away are super scattered. And that's how you do gradation with stippling. So I want to show you an example. I have a nice example of a purse that I did a while ago with stippling, and you can see that the darkest parts are right behind and things like little details or creases, but it's all with dots. And I'm proud of it because I took my time. I want you guys to be proud of all of your work. And if you guys don't have a black pen, you could use a gel pen that's any color. You could also do this with colored pencil. You could practice just circular motion. That would look really nice as well. But remember, as if you're in class, you want to be practicing the skills that you have developed and demonstrated. I can use my circular motion. This is just a regular pencil. But to achieve this nice value happening, the dark to light, and have nice contrast with really nice highlights in front of the dark areas, I want you guys to really look at your work at a distance and think about, okay, can I see it? It's not just about you guys being able to draw. I want you to make things look 3D. So I hope that you guys have been doing okay with the tutorial so far. We're really proud of all of your work, and I encourage you guys to keep working, and any of the images that we don't plan to cover, go ahead and try it on your own. Use the